in ways that allow us to fulfill a purpose, great doors can open. So I want you first and foremost to define success from this place forward for yourself. And I'm going to give you three definitions from my own life. I define success as a harmony of purpose, resilience, and joy. Purpose answers a very simple question. I want you to answer this question maybe even before this weekend is over. How are people's lives better when they cross paths with you?
That's good.
How are they better? Because there is a way. If you're still here, there's a reason you're here. And I'm not just talking to the graduates, I'm talking to all of you who've been supporting these graduates. In fact, a part of your purpose is fulfilled because you had people around you supporting you. Some of you probably want to give them a hand right now because they are the reason you can make it here. I asked this question of myself, what am I here for? And one day I just had an epiphany that my mission was inspiring others to live more fulfilling lives. That I do it through writing and speaking. I was standing in a bookstore when it came to me, and within 3 weeks, I started writing. I had been in PR, running my own business, and I was good at it, but I wasn't passionate about it. Has anyone ever been there? In fact, it might have led you to pursue the degree you're pursuing. You were doing something you weren't passionate about, but you believed there was something more possible. I was speaking years ago in Saskatoon. I don't know if that's what she said, but that's what I told myself. Gave me a boost of confidence. No pressure on you guys, but I mean, she was giving me life that day, all right? And I had to speak 3 times. So when you speak, you can be really great, but after the 3rd time, people start getting a little tired. And I was looking for my girl, like, where is she? About 10 rows back to my right, she was still smiling. She was still nodding. And I was like, oh, she's giving me life. And afterwards, I'm signing books. She comes through my line, and I said, is your mission in life just bringing joy to people? And she said, I've been trying to figure out what it is. Can it be that simple? And I said, yes, it can be that simple. You brought me joy. You gave me energy. She wrote me an email the next week. She said, I went back to work, and I told my coworkers, my mission is bringing joy to people. And they all looked at me and said, yeah, we know that, right? Because the people around you know what it is that you do that makes their lives better. You need to know the answer to that question. Some of you make difficult concepts easy to understand. Some of you are great at just building bridges or connecting people. Some of you are teachers. But if you know what your purpose is, it becomes like a compass. When you're making decisions, when you show up in that meeting, you know how you are there to make things better. So I want you to start with purpose and simply answer the question, how are people's lives better when they cross paths with you? When I discovered that purpose, I knew what I was meant to do. I started writing. My 3rd book was finally the most successful because the first 2, I didn't know my purpose. I was writing, but not with purpose. Once I got that purpose, the words flowed from the tip of my pen. I self-published with a vision of getting a big publisher. And that following year, Random House bought the rights to my book. I was 26 years old. And no particular reason that a big publisher would pick me up other than I was clear about my purpose, I was passionate about it, and I believed in myself. I want you to remember that as you move forward in your own vision. My mission has been helped a great deal by the fact that I discovered coaching. And you heard Dr. St. Germain tell you that my background is in positive psychology. And some of you heard that and you thought I made it up, right? You're like, what is that? That's a degree she made up. It is not. Traditional psychology tends to focus on fixing what's wrong with us, which is important because some of us have issues. Anybody here at Capella got issues? Anybody got issues? Raise your hand. Okay, so only about half of you have issues. The rest of y'all really have issues. Okay? Traditional psychology is important, but positive psychology is what happens when things go right with people. And at the CAP Institute, as we've trained personal and executive coaches all over the world in 37 countries now, what I have learned is in order to get the right answers to where you're supposed to go next, you've got to ask the right questions. And when you ask the right questions, that's where resilience comes along. So number 1, as you hit this milestone, I want you to ask yourself, what did it take for me to get here? it take? Because as you face your next milestone, you can glean wisdom from this journey. You've already been successful. When you get stuck, ask yourself, what did I do that led to that success? When am I at my best? What is it that enabled it? What were the dynamics? How did I show up? Did I take better care of myself? Was it just that I was getting more sleep? When we learn from our successes, we can recreate the circumstances that empower us to be successful. But the third piece in that definition of success is just joy. It's joy. And let me tell you something. Sometimes we find ourselves in those places where, we feel like, can I do this? We look back and we're not looking at where we succeeded too often. We are looking at where we failed. And when we do that, we find ourselves overcompensating. Now, I know many of you may not be able to relate to this, but some of you, did you struggle along the way to your journey? Did this degree come with some false starts and some years in between? Can anybody relate? Yeah, my first year of college, I was a cadet at the U.S. Air Force Academy, and it took a lot to get in. But I got my grades the first time, and I had don't pull me off the stage. I had a 1.4.
Oh, no.
Did y'all know you could get a 1.4?
1.4.
It's really not that hard to do.
You ain't passed nothing. So you ain't go to nothing. Yeah,
I spent the whole year on academic probation.
Oh,
My
what to
parents
say?
divorced that year. I was in the hospital 3 times.
Wow.
More than anything, I realized, although I'm an Air Force brat, born on an Air Force base, it wasn't my calling. I had to find the thing that spoke to me. I had to find the goals that brought joy to me, because joy is actually strength. What the science teaches us is that positive emotion is actually a success strategy. The more joy you have, the more likely you are to get promoted, the more likely you are to get raises, the more likely you are to have a long-term, happy, fulfilling relationship. In fact, researchers have been able to determine with 91% accuracy the likelihood of a divorce by watching how much positive emotion occurs in a 15-minute conversation between a couple. Couples that have at least a 5-to-1 ratio of positive to negative emotion, 10 years later, 91% of them are married. I see some of you looking a little worried right now. Yeah, I need to call. Thank you for taking out the trash. Thank you for watching the kids. I agree. Like, positive emotion matters. So as you set your next goals, I want you to be asking yourself this. What will your goal give you that you don't already have? And if your answer is joy and purpose and a sense of fulfillment, do it. If you're trying to make a decision about where to go next, I want you to coach yourself with this very simple question. Looking back a few years from now, what will you wish you had done? Where will you wish you had stepped out or stepped up or spoken up? Whatever your answer to that question, do that. And in your everyday journey, be asking yourself, what brings me joy? Because literally, positive emotion expands your ability to deal with adversity and stress. If you don't know how to cultivate it, just right now, what am I grateful for? Why am I grateful for that? Find the things you do just for the joy of it, like playing. You can play things you're really bad at just because you like it. You can sing loudly just because you like it, even if you're off key. In fact, one of the fastest ways to boost your positive emotion is what I'm going to leave you with. And I'm going to ask y'all to do it with me. The science shows that when you smile, like a full-on smile, will y'all smile like you're proud of that degree? All right? When your cheeks puff up and your eyes crinkle, you actually release serotonin and endorphins to the brain. Like you're releasing drugs to your brain just by smiling. Can y'all do that? All right. Some of you are not smiling. Listen, the research says if you don't feel like smiling, you can just make a hard E sound. E. Okay? Oh, wow. Getting on your nerves on Monday. E. E. Your kids are driving me crazy. Just E. Your spouse is saying something that is just like, just go E. Whatever you do, I want you to find joy in the journey. Because in the joy, you will find your success.
Hallelujah.
And I hope today you will savor a smile about the milestone you have reached. God bless you and congratulations.
Yay!